One of my favorite types of horror are monster stories. And what better monster stories are there than kaiju stories? Do you guys want to see what my favorite Godzilla comic is that's come out in a number of years? Well, you're going to have to stay tuned and watch this video till the end. And we're back. Thank you guys for watching. Today we are going to talk about Godzilla War for Humanity by Andrew Maclean and Jake Smith. But before that, please give the video a thumbs up and comment down below with your thoughts on Godzilla comics or anything I talk about today. And subscribe. I'm doing 31 days of horror comics throughout October. I have a playlist set up so you can go watch any of the videos you've missed already, and then catch up with the subscribe button and then hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss out on any of the rest of the videos. This is Godzilla War for Humanity, and this was one of my most anticipated comics to read this year. And after reading it, it's probably the most fun comic I've read all year. And the reason why I was so excited for this was the creators involved. Andrew Maclean wrote and drew Headlopper, great series that came out with Image Comics. And then Jake Smith, I have a video on my channel showing off Blood Force Trauma, which is a series that he kickstarted. And I was a huge fan of that series. Jake Smith, I think, is one of the up-and-coming young cartoonist in comics that is going to be a huge, massive name, and that's why I've been trying to pitch this comic so hard for people, because this is Jake Smith's first foray into the mainstream comics, if you will, working on a big property like Godzilla, and I think Jake Smith's just going to explode from here on throughout his career, and I can't wait to see where he goes from here. This was put out by IDW in this thin trade paperback, and I don't buy a lot of thin trade paperbacks these days. I usually opt for hardcovers if I can, but I had to pick this up in support of Jake Smith and just being a big fan of his. So here's the back cover, and once we open this, you'll see what I mean by his artwork and how unique and looking it is. So this front in title page cover is done by Andrew Maclean. He did variant covers for each issue as well, which they're all included in here, so you're not missing out on that. So it's all written by Andrew Maclean, artwork by Jake Smith. Jake Smith does the colors on issues 1 and 2, but then Valentina Pinto does issues 3 through 5, and the color flats were done by Rick Mack on issue 5. This does collect just 5 issues. And then Russ Wooten on the letters. So right away, you get the cover image here without the trade dress on the left-facing page, and then on the right-facing page, we get the comics, which I do love that they use this kind of yellowed paper on the out border of the artwork. It gives that kind of like the old newsprinty look to it, and I think the colors really lay flat on there in a great way. And sometimes having a stark white border on the outside kind of stands out over the artwork, and it doesn't sit on it so well. So I think that yellow paper on the outside really lets the artwork and colors show off on there. But just flipping through here, like you can just see all of like the candy colored look to it, the incredible line art by Jake Smith. And what's really cool is that I've been following Jake Smith for a number of years, like I said, through his Blood Force Trauma series that he did on Kickstarter. And he one thing that he would always do would be commissions or art prints of kaiju monsters. So it's really cool to see him do Godzilla. I can imagine it was just a thrill for him to work on this series. So our story here, we have this character here who's giving a lecture about kaiju monsters. She's kind of an advocate for Godzilla, if you will, thinking Godzilla is the hero. I think this was I'm not an expert on Godzilla, so let me know in the comments, but I think this is the Toho era. This is inspired by it. It's post-Showa era. I think I have that right. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I guess in that era of those Godzilla movies that this is kind of taking place in or depicting or homaging. Godzilla is more of a hero in those movies versus other monsters. And that's kind of what this is. You have this character here trying to advocate for Godzilla as a hero when nobody else will believe her. And then even her own team doesn't believe her, but she gets put on this team because there's this massive outbreak of kaiju monsters and they have to do something about it. Now this guy creates this giant mech robot, which is amazing. Anytime you mix kaiju monsters and mech robots, sign me up. I will be there to read that story or watch that story. And you have Manila here, a little baby Godzilla who's in danger. Just look at the giant kaiju fights in here. So each issue will then end with the variant cover that Andrew Maclean did, and then the next issue will start with Jake Smith's cover, which is awesome. So just like amazing artwork. I love like these kind of tokusatsu uniforms that these characters are wearing going to battle. And the main character here who's the advocate for Godzilla has a daughter who she talks to her mom, and her mom thinks she's crazy for doing what she does, like going on these TED Talks talking about how great Godzilla is. But she thinks, like, you're a bad mother, like, I'm trying to be a good mother. But then she finds out when she's confronted by her own daughter that maybe she's focusing too much on her work and abandoning what her daughter wants to do and that kind of thing. Here's giant mech robots fighting giant kaiju monsters. Like, this artwork is just absolutely mind-blowing. Like, look at that lettering too, which I'm imagining, I think that's probably Jake Smith doing that kind of lettering. I think Russ Wooten probably does the rest. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but this artwork is mind-blowingly fun. And this comic was so much fun. It was a blast to read this. I read it all in one sitting. It felt like reading like the greatest 80s, or like watching the greatest 80s movie, or playing like 80s arcades. Like, it felt like so much like that poppiness of it. Just total fun. It didn't bog itself down with the story and whatnot. Like, the story is great, but like the artwork just speaks for itself, and it just never stops. It's nonstop fun throughout. Just really, really great stuff. I don't want to spoil how it ends or anything, so there are some really cool badass moments, especially with her daughter and how she takes things into her own hands a little bit in this fight to preserve Godzilla, but also fight these giant kaiju monsters. There's a little bit of a gutter loss here on this page, unfortunately. Hopefully one day we'll get a giant oversized hardcover of this, but I don't know if that'll come about, only being a 5-issue series, unless Andrew Maclean and Jake Smith do another Godzilla series, perhaps, and we can get a cool Godzilla oversized hardcover. Again, like, these tokusatsu designs on these suits are amazing. And also, you notice too, the colors, now we're getting into nighttime scenes, so it's all very bright poppy, kind of in the sun earlier in this comic. Now we're getting to nighttime as the story is progressing and getting darker and more bleak too. So like, that kind of storytelling with the color is really, really great. It seems like a very deliberate choice in it. Just like, there's no wasted space on the page by Jake Smith. Like, really interesting panel layouts too, but also just like, there's a crazy detail in his artwork. I just can't imagine how long this took for him, but he probably just had such a blast on doing every single page on here. So yeah, I don't want to skip too much to the end. Here's an Andrew Maclean variant cover. Now in the back, we do have some variant covers here. One by Sam. Oh, and Tom Scioli does one, which is great, because Tom Scioli right now is doing his own Godzilla series for IDW, which I cannot wait to read. Erica Henderson does one. Hazen Becker, Nick Pitara, and Mike Garland on this one. So the variants don't get their full page, but they do get 2 per page. Trad Moore doing one, which is amazing. I love that piece right there. And then Kyle Strauman, Greg Smallwood on colors for that one. Yeah, so really, really fun series. Absolutely blast reading this. The most fun comic I've read all year. Please pick this up and support Jake Smith in his career so that we can get more great comics from him. And please subscribe to the channel. I'm on my road to 3,000 subscribers, and you can help me get there. I'm trying to get to 3,000 by the end of the year. And also, you don't want to miss out on any of the Halloween videos, right? 31 days of horror comics. Stay tuned. Tomorrow there'll be a new one. Look at the playlist to watch all the other ones. And keep talking comics.